Alright guys, welcome to another beer review, and today we're venturing back to the Brewdog Fanzine box, and we're looking at a beer that sounds pretty darn interesting. And this is the King of Eights, and this is version 4, which is the German Hop Edition. I've got something in the back of my throat. Oi, rude. Anyway. So this is a New England style IPA, I believe, and clocking in at 7.4% ABV. IBUs are 20. I'm rubbing my belly like an old man. And malts are pale, wheat and oats. Kettle hops are Citra. Whirlpool hops are Citra. And then the dry hops are Ariana, which I don't think I've ever had, and Hul Melon. And this description says, beautiful transition there, Pete. It's been a long day. Cut me some slack. Jesus. So a duo of new German hops deliver massive tropical fruit notes of German efficiency. The European powerhouse of flavour visits New England with a cantaloupe, peach, mango, papaya, lime peel, and kiwi. The full rounded texture is complemented with a smooth oatiness and a touch of alcohol warmth. And 20% battery, so we've got to make this snappy. Not going to happen. King of Eights, cue 'em up. So beautiful metallic labels. I do like the labels on these fanzine beers. I love the metallic chromy look and the distressed metal of the can. But yeah, so a New England style with German hops. I don't no hiss at all on the can. I don't think I've actually had a New England style IPA from Brewdog, so we shall see what this is like. A little bit worried that there was just no hiss at all with that can. We shall see. Using my Brewdog glass for this one, so let's give it a pour. Seems to be a little bit of activity quite a bit of activity in the glass. It's probably because it was a generous fill, so I don't think there was enough space for it to hiss. So let's. Although that being said, very gentle carbonation on the ear. Not sure what to think of that so far, but yeah, it's what you kind of expect from a New England IPA, but it still has that sort of like Brewdog-esque clarity to it, so it's not as bold or as vibrant as some, but yeah, it's got that sort of like darkish orange, a little bit of amber there as well. But yeah, it is hazy and beer poured with about one finger's worth of a really intense white head. So yeah, it looks like a nice hazy IPA so far. So let's see what we get on the nose. A little bit of spice. You definitely get that Citra. It's got that like classic sort of melon flavour from the Hul Melon. Not sure what characteristics Ariana has. Maybe they give it a little bit more of a spiciness, because there is a subtle spicy tone. A little bit of citrus in there as well. I get a bit of grapefruit. Almost has like the sniff of a Belgian strong ale as well. It's definitely interesting. It's not in your face. It's not a really like, oh, this is definitely a New England style IPA. You get some subtle tropical tones in there. A little bit of a resiny vibe as well. I mean, what you do get in the nose is really nice, but if I was just presented this blindfolded, doesn't really smell like a classic New England IPA. So maybe it's not the point. It's because they've used German hops. And German hops aren't really noted. Maybe some specific new varieties like grown in Germany with the whole terroir sort of angle. Yeah, so it's a little bit different, but with traces of what you would expect. That's what I'm going to stick with. Anyway, let's give it a taste. Prost. Yes, I did actually just slobber on my t-shirt. Let me have another taste of that. carbonation is really low on this beer, but it kind of like gives the body a little bit more boldness because it doesn't like dissipate as quickly. So there's this like oily slickness about it, which actually works. But I'm not sure if that was the intention, because as I said, didn't really get anything when I cracked the can. Didn't really have too much action when it was poured in the glass. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a flat beer, but it's not as active as I thought it would be. But again, it sort of works in its favour. Definitely get a spicy tone in that. Again, not really getting any sort of a juiciness. It's not really, again, classic New England style that we have now in the UK. Oversaturated fruit bombs. You do get like some slight hints of that. Definitely get that melon sort of vibe. Loads of grapefruit on the back end now, which is really nice. It has a sort of like West Coast bitterness. But yeah, those Citra hops are really singing, which is weird because you'd expect it to be the two German hops they use in the dry hopping. And I think maybe the Citra's just overtaking them a little. But yeah, very earthy on the back end, very herbal, a little bit of spiciness. It's a tasty IPA, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if I should, because it says it's a New England style, but it meets New England, so is it really a classic attempt at New England style? I've been saying in a lot of these beers that I'd like Brewdog to be a bit more experimental with their fanzine stuff. And I think this is what I want. You know, I want my perception to be, like, bashed about. You know, I want to go into it thinking something and then coming out with something a little bit different. And that's what it does. It's got loads of, like, candied fruit to it. Like, it's like a packet of, like, what are they called? Ranch juice fruit pastels. It tastes like that. But there's no real, like, intense juiciness. No real sweetness or anything like that. It's got that earthiness. You do get that German vibe about it, with the subtle musky tones and the earthy graininess from the hops. So yeah, I actually, conceptually, I think this is working really well because it's something a little bit different. As a beer to enjoy, I think it's perfectly sold. Alcohol is masked beautifully. It's probably one of the better IPAs that I've had from Brewdog as of late. So yeah, I was initially going into it, comparing it to what the New England IPA has become here in the UK. And I think that's a little bit unfair, and my stomach just made a really horrific, not horrific, a horrific gurgling noise, so hopefully that microphone didn't pick it up. But yeah, what I thought this beer would be, it's nothing like that. And although it's not the greatest beer that I've had, I've got to give Brewdog props for doing something a little bit different, and it does work. Maybe if they were a little bit more bold with the hop additions. But again, I think the Citra is just a little bit too overpowering, which, don't get me wrong, I fucking love Citra. It's one of my favourite hops, and you definitely get that. It's a bountiful Citra beer. But yeah, maybe the German hops could have sang a little louder. What the fuck are you talking about, Peter? So in terms of a rating, yeah, I'm actually going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. In fact, no, the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm actually really enjoying it. So I'm going to bump that up to an 8 out of 10. I would happily demolish a 4-pack of this. And if this is what the beer was supposed to be, then fantastic. It would be interesting to have another can of this, just to see if it might be a little bit flatter than it should do. Because I was actually expecting a lot more carbonation from that. But as I said, the oiliness, the West Coast-esque aftertaste is a really welcomed addition. And, you know, it's showcased a couple of German hops, which I'm all for, because I love German brewing no matter what. So maybe there's a little bit of a romanticism and bias in this review. But that being said, I've been very vocal about some of my discrepancies with Brewdog and the fanzine. Has it saved? Has it, made me want to restart my subscription again? No. I will probably go back to the subscription a few months down the line to see where they've come. But yeah, so if you're expecting like a typical New England IPA, you might be a little bit disappointed if you aren't too open-minded. And how do you say that without sounding like a patronising fuck? I don't know. But yeah, Brewdog. A really nice little beer, that. Absolutely lovely. But just a few little things and maybe a couple of concerns which are stopping us from getting a higher rating. So if you've tried this one, then let me know your thoughts, opinions. What experience did you get from it? How does this rate compare to the other 3 versions of it? I think they've all been in the fanzine boxes. Are you a fan of the fanzine box? Have you tried it? Did you stop it? Are you carrying on? What are your thoughts on Brewdog? All sorts of conversation starters in the comments. And yeah, so 8 out of 10 for King of Eights. They're getting more points for doing something actually exciting and intriguing. And that's how I'm looking at this beer. And as a beer in itself, I can't really fault it too much either, because it's a lovely little beer. Check out Brewdog, check out my Brewdog playlist. If you're interested with the Brewdog Fanzine, I'll, if I remember to, put my referral type link down below. I love whoring out referral links. I love potentially getting free stuff, so helps me out, and it should help you out as well to experience some interesting beer. Anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully I shall see you next time. Cheers!